Stephen Walker for WI Proud. If you've been around the lacrosse music scene, you know of at least the man to my left. His name is Casey Virock. Space Bike might have been where you heard him the first time, but now for what seems like the past, well, you're only going to be 56, so let's say the past 40 years, Porcupine has been a band?
Since 2006.
2000,
Yep.
It's been a long time. You were just talking about, man, what keeps you going?
I just love to write songs.
Yeah.
I love writing songs, and if I don't do it in the Porcupine format, I have another offshoot called Carousel Swan, which I do like kind of poppier stuff with my friend Jason Knox. And then I have Co-Pilot, which is another kind of local thing with Dave Stolson and Johnny Nygren, and Tim Powers is playing bass. We put out a EP not too long ago. So I just love writing songs with people.
For those of you not aware, I think you just name dropped almost all of the lacrosse music, like the elderly lacrosse music scene at least.
Yeah.
How long, like, what do you think is the oldest relationship you have in town, musically?
As far as a person?
Sure.
I mean, I guess if you want to go way back, it'd be probably my uncle, Sean, who was in the band Stumpwater back in the 70s, who was like this. I never got to see them until the 90s. They did a reunion, and that kind of like really inspired me to see him, because he was just, you know, he's your uncle. He had this band back in the day, and then to see him play, it was just like I get goosebumps thinking about it, because he just was so in command, so great, and what's the word? Confident. It was just cool. I was like, man, that's my Uncle Sean up there. So he's probably and that's going back to the 70s. Dave Rogers, of course, buying guitars from Dave's and Dave's blues band, and Randy Hem, Joe Price, watching those guys as a kid. Just,
Yeah, legendary. Those are legendary names here.
Jeff Sharon, amazing guitar player, plays with Kip Mayer in the Pack. Jeff Sharon is like unbelievable.
Again, folks, if you aren't aware of or don't recognize any of those names, write them down, rewind, go back, because there's some. No, don't be sorry. I mean, I think it's a shame that not more people know of all of them, because you named some legends here in the lacrosse music scene.
Lon Braithwaite, like amazingly talented singer, guitar player. There's a bunch of people that have. Jamie Peterson, who was in this band, Buzz Butler, was the first kind of punk original band where I was like, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to do what he's doing. I want to make the crowd go nuts, but I want to do it with my songs and not do it with like Jesse's Girl, you know?
Right.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
And then everybody finds a good place in music somewhere. Mine is writing songs with people, and we all kind of get in a room and you play, and you have those moments where you're like, you stop and go, well, what happened there? Like, everybody's got goosebumps, and you're like, what was that? We just did something crazy there. That's what I chase after. I guess it's kind of an addiction, but it's an expensive hobby. It's a stressful hobby. It's cannot be a hobby and more like a job. When I was in Minneapolis, in that formation, it was a guy named Greg Norton on bass, who was in the band Husker Du, and Ian Prince on drums. And then that took off to a whole different level, where we were like on tour, booking people, PR people, management. It gets really crazy. It's fun and exciting, but man.
Do you lose sight of the music at some point?
Sometimes you do, because sometimes you're like, I'll do a show, maybe in person I'll think like, and then somebody comes up, that was the best time I ever saw you, and you kind of go, well, thank you, but in my mind I'm thinking, really?
Yeah.
You know,
what's the metric after? No, I know exactly, because we were talking about I ran
a comedian.
I ran a sketch show for a long time, and we'd get it every time. That was the best one. Yeah, that was the best one. And then during the show, you're like, I don't think they're laughing, or whatever it is. Yeah. So new album out. We discussed it's the 12th one. We think the 12th Porcupine record.
12th release. Yeah, like that's not a single. It's a 12th record. Yeah.
When's it officially dropping?
February 16th.
February 16th. A couple days. Love that for you. A couple days after Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
A couple of singles out, right? We've got a video and then a single, right?
Yeah, Way Down was the first single that has a video. accompanying it. And then we just released Character Flaws, which has got some good radio play already, which is great.
So what goes into an album for you? Are you just like, oh, there's 8 songs, it's an album, or do you sit down and be like, this is what I want to say?
You know, most of the songs that when I write songs, sometimes the lyrics are there, sometimes not. Sometimes it's a riff and then you scat on top of it and kind of go. Then it kind of molds itself. You know, I usually do the 3-draft thing, which sometimes my bandmates hate it. It's like, come on, dude. But I'll do a draft of just kind of subconscious things, and then I'll kind of format that into something. Then I'll sing it, try to get the flow of the lyrics, the tempo, the meter of how I'm gonna do stuff. Because I like things to be a bit. I just want to do things that are a little tricky and memorable. And so, yeah, by the 3rd draft, I'll have lyrics ready. Then we'll usually have the basic track done, and I'll throw the lyrics on, and at the same time I'll be editing as we record. Because and I'll leave stuff unfinished because I like to have moments of like, oh, let's have a wing it moment where like there's a couple spots on this last record where I winged it and it was like, oh, that turned out okay. And then sometimes you have to do a take 2 or take 3, but.
Talking with Casey Virock of Porcupine. I'm Stephen Walker for WI Proud. The new album, Our Chemistry, is a tightrope, dropping February 16th. Where can we get it?
You can get it at Deaf Ear, Bandcamp, DC Jam, our label, will have it available. And then it should be available Apple, CD Baby. And DC Jam, I think, they do a really great job of distribution, so it should be everywhere, available everywhere. At least stateside, and there'll be some spots over in England it'll be available.
Is this your first vinyl pressing?
No.
Okay, I was
We've
going to
done
say.
a lot of
how that's good. You've seen that shift now from CD. I mean, really, probably tapes when you first started to now.
Well, yeah, it was back in the day it was cassettes, and then CDs, and then when I was in Space Bike, the first time I ever did a 7-inch, I remember we were cutting out cardboard to mail out all these 7 inches, and I thought it was cool, but at the same time the charm of it was lost because after you're mailing them out you're like,
yeah
235, 236.
That'd be a great time lapse from 1 to 230. Like 1 is like yay, and 236 is like
we're sitting on the floor just cutting out cardboard but it was worth it because with that record people really like vinyl. I don't think that's ever going to go away. There's just vinyl nerds. I'm one of them. That record, the first record we did, we sent out to radio, hundreds of them, hundreds. I mean, literally like probably 250, 300. And, you send a note and a Hail Mary. And a gentleman from England was in San Francisco at a record shop. He saw the cover of it. He went, oh, that looks interesting. And he bought it because it was $5 because the radio station wasn't doing vinyl, so they just sold it to this record shop. He brought it back to England and liked the songs, so they hooked us up with Shea Records out of England, and that song was played on the Peel sessions, which was like a big deal for me because I'm like, hey, that's John Peel. That's the guy that found Syd Barrett and T-Rex and Pink Floyd and
Goes to show you, folks. Number 1, you can judge a book by a cover.
Yes.
And number 2, arduous tasks can pay off eventually.
Yes,
right?
yes.
You're playing a record release show March 2nd in Minneapolis. Do we have the deets for that yet?
We don't.
Kind of hush-hush.
Yeah, we're still waiting. And there's another one in the works too.
March 9th, you'll be here in town.
Popcorn Tavern,
With La Crosse, by the way.
Yeah, La Crosse Popcorn Tavern. That's going to be with Cindy Lawson, she's from Minneapolis. She was in a band back in the day called the Clams. And I remember hearing about them when I was just getting into music. And it's Cindy, I think they're just called Cindy Lawson. They're great, just old school punk rock. And then Sib, which are members of Basement Family, Toaster Ghost, and actually Brian Kerr, who played on Porcupine's Force Field single. So I'm excited to have those guys on board. They're great people.
There you go.
Yeah.
Again, folks, again, more name drops. Please go back through, write them all down. You'll figure out who they are. March 9th, come see Casey and Porcupine at the Popcorn in La Crosse. Otherwise, the Facebook, which we'll put the info here, we'll give you all the other information. Casey, thanks so much, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
WI Proud, I'm Steve.